Big Sis Gen Xe, also known as Erin. It is spooky season. It's October 24th as I'm recording this. And every October, I think everybody does this. We watch a lot of scary things, scary movies, scary shows. Every night, my husband asks what I want to watch, and he says he wants to watch something scary. So for him, that means like a horror movie. I'm not a huge fan of horror in general. I like a good, scary, suspenseful, psychological thriller, um, that kind of thing. I don't like just like the gross for being gross. I don't like gory. That's not scary to me. It's just gross. So I was thinking about different things that I enjoy watching this time of year, and I realized that most of them are from the 80s. So I thought I would give you my top five uh, things that I like to watch this time of year. Again, they're not necessarily scary or even Halloween themed, though some are. And they're in no particular order. Now, the first one I would say is scary. It's a movie from 1988 called Lady in White, starring Lucas Haas, Katherine Hellman, and it's actually set at Halloween time. And this boy gets locked in the coat closet of his school. It's Lucas Haas, and he sees the murder of Ghost. She's a ghost because she was murdered, but he sees the murder being reenacted, and then he kind of gets sucked into this story of the murder that has happened in the past in his town. And this movie scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. I saw it when I was a kid. Let's see, I was 11 in 1988, almost 12. And it has a particular song that plays when the ghost comes around. It's Did You Ever See a Dream Walking? Frank Sinatra sings it. And for a long time, I could not hear that song. Not that I heard it commonly, but if I ever did, it scared the bejesus out of me. So that one, if you haven't seen, it can be slow in parts, but it's a good scary movie for this time of year. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the Disney cartoon version, and I looked up when this was made. It actually was first released in 1949. But I remember they would play this in school every year when I was in elementary school in the 80s, and we would watch The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And for a cartoon, I gotta say, it scared me when I was a kid, but in a good way. It's kind of like suspenseful, and the action builds up. And you gotta love Washington Irving and the classic stories like this anyway. And I just feel like that's a really good one because it's kind of a, is it real? Is it not? Did it happen? Did it not? Obviously, the Disney cartoon version kind of exaggerates everything, but that's another good scary one. Consequently, I also enjoy the version with Christina Ricci and Johnny Depp. So that's just kind of an added one there. That's not in my five, but I might actually watch that one again soon. Okay, so I'm not doing good with not giving you Halloween specific, so let's move on to something that's not, which is Clue, the movie. Now, this movie I will watch all year long, but it gives me, with the murder mystery, it's kind of got this spooky, mysterious, suspenseful vibes. So, like I said, I'll watch that one year round, but I just felt like it was a good choice for Halloween, especially considering Tim Curry's in it. He's kind of synonymous with characters like that, like in Rocky Horror Picture Show. And oh my gosh, the cast in that movie is superior. I think Leslie Ann Warren, who plays Miss Scarlet, is probably my favorite in that movie. But it's one that we quote all the time and we watch all the time, and it's got a great soundtrack. So definitely Clue, the movie. That came out in 1985, by the way. Also from 1985 is the Garfield Halloween special. Now, this one, again, just, it's nostalgia, and that's what we're all about here, clearing up the past. But I don't know, there's just something about that one, and I make my kids watch that with me every year. I have since they were born, I will continue. You know, when they're 48, they're going to still be watching it with me. Um, but yeah, that one's just a classic for me. And finally, another one that is not set at Halloween. It's not about Halloween, but The Burbs with Tom Hanks. That one is from 1989, and I have to say that's probably one of my favorite movies. It's also got Corey Feldman, Bruce Dern, Carrie Fisher. It's got a great cast, and again, just has kind of a spooky, suspenseful mystery kind of vibe. And it's strange given the subject of the movie. If you haven't seen it, it's set in the suburbs, and this little group of neighbors suspects their new strange neighbors of murder. But it gives me kind of a weird, cozy, comforting vibe, and I love it. If you've seen it, you know, and you'll probably want to go watch it again soon. And if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it, because you're gonna like it. It's a good movie. It's very, very clever. So anyway, those are 5 movies that I still watch to this day from the 80s, this time of year in particular, at Halloween, spooky season, whatever you want to call it. So, David, give me something that you watch this time of year. It doesn't have to be from the 80s, but what are your top 5 go-to movies?
Thank you for that, Erin, and welcome back to another short episode of Clearing Up the Past. I am David Musgrave, aka Millennial Dave, and I'm also your historian, your nostalgia historian. I don't know what I tried to say there, but it was very dyslexic. Horror movies, spooky time, good topic. Obviously, this time of year, we start pretty early in September and start watching the horror movies. Um, this year has been no different. There are definitely some go-tos that we have. We start watching Nightmare Before Christmas pretty early with our daughter. I do try to hit, the usuals. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, the Garfield special. This year, I've definitely been trying to hit a lot of YouTube. There are a lot of good channels that make it seem like you're watching an old VHS of recorded cartoons from like Nickelodeon and ABC Family and all the old stuff we used to watch. There's a lot of Doug and Rocco's Modern Life and similar type cartoons. But the good thing about it is it has the commercials in with it too. So it feels very, very nostalgic. I've been watching a lot of that. Highly recommend looking for that kind of stuff on YouTube if you want a good dose of nostalgia this time of year. Um, we also have kind of gone off the rails a little bit this year. I feel like over the last couple of years, been hearing about Terrifier, and it's been on our list to watch. But this year in particular, it kept coming up. So we're like, you know what? We're going to go back. We're going to watch the first film, which is All Hallows Eve. It's terrible. It's kind of a horror anthology, sort of. This lady's babysitting, and she finds, or there's a videotape in one of the kids' trick or treat bags. So they start watching it, and there's 3 separate short stories on there that kind of tie together, and then there's a little story with the babysitter. Anyway, terrible effects. Even it wasn't made that long ago, but the effects are really bad. Obviously, very low budget. I mean, it wasn't even. It was fun to make fun of, but not quite the like good camp that you want to make fun of. So that one was okay. Then we watched Terrifier. That one was okay, better than All Hallows Eve, I'll definitely say. Follows just Art the Clown this time and kind of builds on his mythos. Then we watched Terrifier 2, which continues to build on that mythos and get a little bit better. But the thing is that this is definitely a slasher film. It's gross for the sake of being gross. Erin would absolutely hate it. We don't find horror movies scary at all, but do like well-made horror movies, and this ain't it. I'll watch Terrifier 3 when I can see it for free, but I'm not going out of my way to go to theaters or anything like that. This year we also went back and watched Insidious 1, 2, and 3. There's also The Last Key and The Red Door that I doubt we'll watch at this point since we're getting to the end of the spooky season, but we might do that again next year because we do like to kind of go and watch whole series at a time, even if we've seen them before. I've seen the Insidious series before, maybe not number three, but I've definitely seen one and two. We did watch the Evil Dead series this year as well, one of my all-time favorites. We skipped the first one because I've seen it 1,000 times, and if you're going to watch the second one, it's basically almost a remake of the first one, but a lot better. So we started with Evil Dead 2. Maybe my favorite in the series. I really love it. There's definitely that scene where he's losing, Ash is kind of losing his mind in the cabin, and the furniture's moving. He kind of goes up and down with the lamp, and they stop at the same time and then laugh. One of my favorite scenes in any movie ever. And then Army of Darkness. So many quotable lines in that. That's where they really just take the camp to the next level. And I actually described that movie today to some of my friends who know the movie, of course. But I said I think that's the movie that, from a horror movie standpoint, might describe my personality the best. But we then went and watched Evil Dead, the remake that came out several years ago. I had seen it before, but Kira hadn't, so showed her that. And then neither of us had seen Evil Dead Rise, so we watched that one, and that was neat. It really seems like they're going to build on the kind of backstory and lore of the Evil Dead series, because there seems like there might be more than one Necronomicon. In fact, three, and we've seen two of them. So there's probably going to be another Evil Dead movie coming out soon. So that was pretty cool. We enjoyed that quite a bit, and the Evil Dead Rise was very unique. Whereas all the other movies kind of feel like the same movie. Well, Army of Darkness is kind of different, but still, they all feel kind of very in the same vein anyway. This is a completely different story. It takes place in an apartment building, which is really interesting how they kind of get trapped in the apartment building and how they play off of that, and how the classic Evil Dead story or loop of an Evil Dead story takes place in a different setting with different people is quite interesting. And of course, I don't know, I don't think I said this. We try to watch Rocky Horror Picture Show every year, generally on or right around Halloween itself. So that is going to be one we haven't watched yet, but we will very soon. Yeah, other than that, I mean, we've watched through the Halloween series, we've watched through Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't think we've done Friday the 13th yet, but that's one that's on our books of watching all the way through. I've seen most of them, if not all of them, but Kira and I together. Hellraiser. I mean, you name it. If there's a classic horror movie from the 70s, 80s that continue to grow, then we will probably watch it or have watched it recently around this season. And lastly, I'll say probably my all-time favorite scary movie is The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing is kind of the perfect movie. It's got sci-fi, horror, suspense, just crazy elements in it, and the effects are a little dated, but still really, really pretty cool. And there's nothing like it, except the second one they did is kind of like it, but not as good. So that's pretty much it. Hope all y'all are having a fantastic spooky season around Halloween. And until next time, I've been David Musgrave, aka Millennial Dave, and I'll see you later. Until then, Erin and I will be here clearing up the past.